Assalamu and hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you are all doing very well. In today's video, I am going to be diving into several ways that we can stop fighting food. Now, when I say stop fighting food, I mean we can stop making poor food choices, or we can stop feeling guilty over the food choices that we're making. And I think these tips are going to be very helpful for you, because one thing I want you to do is I want you to keep in mind that, number one, poor food choices can expose us to certain health issues. And I'm talking about hypertension or high blood pressure, as well as high cholesterol, diabetes, and heart conditions or heart failure. So let me dive into the first thing, which I think is kind of unpopular but necessary for some of us, and that is go ahead and eating your cheat meal. Now, you might be thinking, you're telling me to eat a cheat meal, but you're saying we need to eat healthily. But this is what I want you to consider. I want you to pick one meal, one day out of the week, and eat it. If it's your craving and it's something that you can't stop thinking about, let's say it's a burger and fries, or it's a very creamy dairy-based pasta dish, or if it's something of your culture that is deep fried or has a lot of, oils and fats, go ahead and eat it. Pick a day out of the week. Maybe it's a Saturday afternoon. Maybe it's something you're going to eat with the family or at a gathering, and plan to eat that meal. So one of the things I want you to consider is, number one, you have put into your plan, you've planned it, that you're going to eat this meal on this day at this certain time. And then you're going to consider that, I'm not going to deprive myself. I'm going to actually eat it and get it out of the way. And after you eat that meal, I want you to consider how you feel. Chances are you will not feel good after you eat that meal. You might feel bloated. You might feel like, and I don't want you to feel guilty. I don't want you to get the sense that, you feel guilty, but I want you to consider that if you've been eating healthy the whole week, 6 days out of the week, up until that meal, then that means your body is adjusting. Your body has now started to consider, okay, I like to eat healthy. I like the way I feel when I'm eating healthy. I'm not sluggish. I'm not tired. I'm not bloated. And that cheat meal might have been too much for you. So in that sense, you're going to try to modify your cheat meal. You're not going to rely heavily on those fried fatty foods, but you're going to think of a healthier alternative to your cheat meal. And I think this is where you're considering what you're going to swap your cheat meal for. You're going to swap it for a healthier alternative, but still take into consideration that it's going to satisfy you. It might be a lean burger without the bun, maybe a lettuce wrap, or it might be, sweet potato fries instead of your normal white potato French fries. Depends on what your thing is and what you want to eat during that week. Or it could be something from your culture that, instead of heavily fried, maybe you can bake it in the oven, or maybe you can air fry it. Something that's going to change up the way in which you prepare your food, because oftentimes it's the preparation that takes out of the nutrients and puts in all the bad things. We're often, from a cultural perspective, we might be more familiar with deep frying our food or using a lot of oils and butters, things that may not be necessarily good for us, especially as we're getting older. So I want you to think about ways in which you can modify this cheat meal, or modify how you're preparing your cheat meal, or how you're consuming your cheat meal. And that's the first thing I want you to consider. It's not to make you feel guilty, but so that you can know that your body has been changing by eating healthily throughout the week, and that this cheat meal, you might have to modify it. And that's one of the ways in which you're going to stop, feeling like, okay, I have to get that cheat meal in, but now I'm eating my quote unquote cheat meal, but it's better for me. I hope that makes sense, because that's something that I realized, that you can still have that cheat meal, but you want to make it better for you. So go ahead and give that a try. Now, the second thing that I want to talk to you about is I want you to resist the urge to snack during the day. Snacking is one of our biggest culprits that we're not really in tune to. So what I read is that from the NIH research is that we tend to eat 500 plus more calories than needed when we snack during the day. And that's outside of maybe we're eating 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, or 3 meals a day. It depends. Some of you are on an OMAD diet or 1 meal a day, but you don't snack, or maybe you do snack. And I think when we build our eating habits around that 1 meal or that 2 meal, and we're making sure we're getting in enough protein from maybe our beans, our lentils, or our lean proteins, our beef, chicken, fish, or tofu, or soybeans, we are now considering that this is the main thing we're bulking up on these important and nutritious parts of our diet. We're also making sure we're getting in enough fiber. So the beans, the lentils, and the leafy green vegetables. So if we are building our eating around healthy things that are dense and that are nutritious, we have the tendency to snack less, and we have the tendency to eat poorly throughout the day. Snacking is such a big issue for us in different parts of the world. And I know that I myself have tried to get a little bit better at making sure that if I am going to eat that 1 meal a day, maybe I've broken my fast, just to make sure that I'm eating that meal sooner rather than later, because I could eat like 30 dates before I eat my iftar, for example. And that's where we kind of get into an issue of we're snacking so much before we get to eating our really nutritious main meal. So that's something I want you to consider. I also want you to consider, number 3 on the list, is to stop buying the processed snacks. If you don't have it in your house, you won't eat it. Now, I know for some of you, you might be a caretaker for younger people, children, teenagers, and you might have to buy them snacks that they take to school or that they eat throughout the day, and you might be tempted to just grab one of those snacks and eat it. One thing you can do is you can buy healthier snacks for those young people that you're caring for, or you can just not eat those snacks. Have some willpower to if you're living alone or by yourself, not to buy them, number 1, but if you have to, just don't eat them. Because I think hidden in these snacks is a lot of sugar and a lot of, really ingredients that are not very healthy for us, or our bodies don't process them the same way we used to when we were younger. And I'm really talking to women who are over 35, over 40, over 50, who are now noticing that their body has been changing with the change of hormones. They may have a lot more belly fat, or their fat is very stubborn to be released from their body. So that's why I want you to consider eating healthier snacks. And I have noticed that I have stopped buying like granola bars and protein bars, those high calorie protein bars that don't really support the protein in them. So I've really reduced the amount of protein. And it's really weird because everything now has protein in it. If you've noticed across different shelves in your grocery aisles, cereal, bars, protein powder, protein shakes, almost protein wraps, everything has protein in it. So you might be tempted to try it, but if you don't look at the ingredients very well, you might be making a mistake with your health. So that's something that I want you to consider, is just really stop buying the processed snacks. And I also want you to consider swapping out your old snacks for some better snacks. Now, I think the go-to snack for many of us we should really be looking at fruits and vegetables, especially fruits, because they kind of satisfy your sweet tooth, for example. And so there are things that you're going to want to consider, including those fruits that are highly dense, low calorie, low sugar, and very hydrating. So I'm talking about watermelon, grapefruit, your berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, for example. These are things that are really good for you, and they have a lot of vitamins in them. And you might be thinking, well, fruit's not going to cut it. There's more that I need than just fruit to snack on. Well, then you build upon that fruit. You can add that fruit to yogurt. You might be able to add some nuts and seeds to that yogurt at the same time, or hemp seeds. You might want to consider adding chia seeds also to your diet. So there are certain things that you can start to look into that are going to help you eat better snacks. They're not as processed, or they aren't processed at all. And that's something that you're going to want to introduce into your diet. And remember, take it one step at a time. try to figure out what you like, what your palate likes, and I guarantee you will find something that is healthy, that you like and you enjoy, and that is going to be better for your health. Because remember, these diseases that we are talking about, hypertension or high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, they're creeping up, and they can be silent killers in a lot of older adults. And I pardon me for using that term, but sometimes it's hard to really gauge how you're doing if you're not getting blood work 6 months or every year, which is usually the normal thing to do. A lot of us do have predispositions to some of these illnesses. Maybe it's familial, or maybe, it's just all of a sudden creeping up on us as we get older, as our hormones are changing. So it's going to be very important for us to consider what we're eating and be diligent about making better food choices. And the fourth thing on the list, I want you to start to meal prep. Many of you have perhaps tried to meal prep in the past and found it either tedious, or maybe you found that the food just didn't taste well after sitting in the fridge for 2 or 3 days. Honestly, meal prepping helps fight your cravings, but you may want to look into how you're preparing your food and how you're storing your food. Is there something that you can perhaps season and leave raw or in the freezer up until the day you use it? Or if there's something that you can prepare ahead of time, maybe prepare your meals 2 or 3 days in advance if that's the most you can do, or 2 days in advance if that's the most you can do, so you're preparing meals every 2 days. I know for some of you that it becomes cumbersome to cook every day, and you are looking for alternative ways to eat healthier, so that you're just not getting home after a long day of work and just reaching for anything in your sight, or takeout, or you want to avoid those foods. And I know many of you are really trying to avoid eating the takeout and grabbing at foods that are just not good for you. And so that's why I think meal prepping is going to be very good for you. And if you can't prep your protein ahead of time, then prep your veggies. Prep your sweet potatoes, your broccoli, your squash, your onions, peppers, things that won't spoil or taste off in a matter of days. So that's something I would think you want to consider. For some of you, it's the opposite. You can prepare your meats and your fish, your tofu, your tempeh in advance, and then you prepare your vegetables and daily, if that's something that works for you. I say give it a go. Try to do as much as you can. See how it goes. Try it again if you've tried it in the past, and just try to do your best to store your food properly. Usually in the back of the fridge, I think it's the top or the middle shelf is the coldest part of the fridge. Anything that you can freeze and defrost beforehand, then do that if that's going to work for you. And really think of meal prep as setting yourself up for success. The food has already been prepared. It is already there for you. You do not have to worry about anything. And so that's why I really encourage you to try and meal prep some more. Even if you just meal prep your main protein, and then you cook everything else fresh for the day, or fresh for the evening when you come back from work, or after you've prepared your lunch and then you come back from work, then try to do that. I really encourage you to do that, because again, we are trying to do better with our health, and we are trying to stop so much of the guilt, focus, and uncertainty around food, especially if you do have access to food. Not having access to food is a whole nother topic, and I do talk about this on my channel about being in a food desert and not having access to the appropriate foods. But I'll leave a link to that video over here and in the description below. So I do hope that the tips that I provided for you have been very helpful. I will continue to talk more about eating healthily, especially in this day and age. And yeah, let me know what you are doing and what you have been doing to fight those food cravings, to fight poor eating habits, and to do better for yourself. So I do thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.